Most people talk about discipline like it's a temporary burst of motivation. They imagine waking up early for a few days, pushing through a tough workout, or finishing a task when they don't feel like it. But real discipline is something much deeper than that. It's not a moment of effort, it's a lifestyle of consistency. And when someone truly lives that way, it creates a presence that quietly intimidates everyone around them. Think about it. Most people negotiate with themselves constantly. They set goals, but they also set excuses. They promise to start tomorrow, then postpone it another week. They rely on motivation when it's convenient and abandon their plans the moment things get uncomfortable. That pattern becomes normal for them. So when they encounter someone who doesn't operate like that, someone who shows up every day regardless of mood, excuses, or distractions, it feels strange, almost unsettling. A disciplined person doesn't debate with themselves every morning about whether they should act. The decision was already made long ago. Their habits carry them forward even when motivation disappears. And that kind of consistency is rare enough that it stands out immediately. When people see someone following through on their commitments with almost mechanical reliability, it forces them to reflect on their own habits. They start noticing the contrast. They notice how often they quit early, how easily they lose focus, how quickly they choose comfort over progress. That comparison creates an uncomfortable realization, not because the disciplined person is trying to make them feel small, but because consistency exposes the difference between intention and action. What makes discipline so powerful is that it removes negotiation. Most people live in a constant internal argument between what they want to do and what they should do. They feel tension every time effort is required. But someone with strong discipline eliminates that debate. When it's time to work, they work. When it's time to train, they train. The decision is automatic, and the longer you maintain that level of reliability, the more your identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You become someone who executes. That shift may seem subtle, but it completely transforms the way people perceive you. They begin to trust your words more because they know your actions follow through. They stop doubting whether you'll finish what you start. Over time, that unwavering consistency builds a reputation that doesn't need explanation. People recognize it from your behavior alone. And when someone realizes that you operate with a level of commitment they rarely see, it creates a strange reaction. Part respect, part admiration, and part intimidation. To understand why discipline creates such a strong reaction in people, you have to look at how most minds operate. Human beings naturally seek comfort. The brain is designed to conserve energy and avoid unnecessary effort. That's why distractions feel easier than focus, and why short-term pleasure often wins over long-term progress. It's not weakness, it's instinct. But the moment someone begins to override that instinct consistently, they step into a completely different category of behavior. A disciplined person doesn't wait for the perfect mood. They don't wait until they feel ready. They understand that feelings are unreliable. Motivation rises and falls, excitement fades, and enthusiasm disappears the moment things become difficult. Instead of depending on emotional momentum, they rely on structure. They build routines that guide their actions even when their mind tries to resist. That structure creates stability. When your day follows a clear pattern of priorities, there's less room for distraction or hesitation. Work gets done at specific times. Training happens whether the weather is perfect or not. Progress becomes predictable because your actions are predictable, and this predictability slowly builds something powerful: trust in yourself. Most people struggle with self-trust. They set goals, but quietly doubt whether they'll follow through. They promise themselves change, but break that promise the moment discomfort appears. Over time, that pattern weakens their confidence, not because they lack potential, but because their own actions prove unreliable. Discipline reverses that process. Every time you follow through on something you committed to, especially when it's inconvenient, you strengthen your internal credibility. You prove to yourself that your decisions matter. That proof accumulates day after day until it becomes part of your identity. And here's where the outside world starts to notice. People begin observing your patterns. They see that you don't skip important steps just because you're tired. They see that your standards don't collapse under pressure. That consistency sends a powerful message without saying a single word. Your priorities are stronger than your impulses. For many people, that kind of reliability feels almost foreign. They're used to environments where plans change constantly and effort fluctuates with mood. When they encounter someone who operates with steady discipline, it disrupts their expectations. It forces them to question their own habits and routines. That realization can be uncomfortable because it highlights a simple truth. Progress is rarely about talent or luck. More often, it's about showing up when others stop. And the person who does that consistently begins to stand apart from the crowd in a way that can't be ignored. The final stage of discipline is when it stops feeling like effort and starts becoming identity. In the beginning, discipline feels heavy. You have to push yourself to stay focused. You have to remind yourself why you started. Every decision feels like a small battle between comfort and commitment. But if you keep showing up long enough, something interesting happens. The resistance begins to fade. What once required willpower slowly becomes routine. At that point, discipline stops being something you force. It becomes something you simply do. Just like brushing your teeth or locking the door before leaving the house, your productive habits become automatic. You don't question them anymore. They're just part of who you are. This is where the real power begins to show. Because most people never reach this stage. They stay stuck in cycles of starting and stopping. They push hard for a short time, then burn out, then restart again weeks later. Their progress resets over and over because their habits never fully solidify. But someone who has made discipline part of their identity operates differently. Their progress compounds quietly in the background. Day after day, small, consistent actions build momentum. One workout becomes hundreds. One focused work session becomes years of mastery. One disciplined choice after another creates a life that looks dramatically different over time. And the most interesting part is that it rarely feels dramatic to the person doing it. They're simply following the standards they set for themselves. From the outside, though, the effect is powerful. People start to notice that you move with a level of commitment they rarely see. They notice that distractions don't pull you off course as easily. They notice that you don't constantly talk about what you're going to do. You just do it. That quiet reliability changes how people interact with you. Some will admire it, some will respect it, and some will feel uncomfortable around it. Not because you're trying to intimidate anyone, but because consistent discipline reflects a standard most people know they haven't reached yet. Your actions become a mirror that shows the gap between intention and execution. And that's what makes true discipline so powerful. It doesn't rely on motivation. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't demand recognition. It simply operates day after day with quiet precision. Eventually, people stop questioning whether you'll follow through. They already know the answer. Because when discipline becomes identity, consistency is no longer a challenge. It's just the way you live.